Welcome to Lesson 28, Learning SQL and Access. In this particular movie, we're going to learn how to use the sum function. Let's go to the All Access Objects window and just double click on this table, Criminals. If I move over to the right, I can see that I've got a column that says Reward. This has got basically the rewards for the individual criminals. Let us say that we want to use the sum function to total all these rewards. I'm going to close down the current table, I'm going to select Create, and I'm going to move over to the right to where it says Query Design. I will select the Criminals Database table. We'll now close down the Show Table dialog. If I go to Select View and SQL View, you can in fact see that I'm now inside the Query Editor. What we're now going to do is just change this code slightly. That's been put in for us already. So I am, for example, going to type the word sum because we're using the sum function. Then open a curved bracket, and then I'm going to type the name of the field that I want to sum, which is reward, and then close bracket. Let us now run this particular query. So if I select run, we do in fact get a result of 47,600. Let me just open up the Criminals Database table for a moment, and let me go down to the bottom of the table. In fact, what we're going to do now is we're going to select totals, and I'm just going to click here. So we're given the option to put in certain functions on the table. So if I click onto the down dialog and I'll select sum, and you can in fact see that there is that value 47,600. So we can in fact see, if we go back to query 1 and we select the SQL view, how this does in fact add up all the reward fields in the criminal database table. Let us now go back to the Criminals tab for a moment, and what we're going to do for a moment is take a look at two of the records. If I go to Crim 5, you can in fact see that the gender of this criminal is in fact female, and if I go to Crim 7, you can see that this one is also female. So we have in fact got two female criminals in the current database table. And we can in fact see that there's a value there of 20,000, or rather 2,400 and 3,600. Let us go back to query 1 for a moment, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this query. So we're going to say select sum reward from criminals, and I'm going to get rid of that semicolon because we're going to carry on with our code, but this time we're going to put in the where qualifier, and we're going to say where the gender equals open speech marks, and I'm going to type in the string female. Close speech marks, put in a semicolon, and if we run this query this time, we should in fact get a value of 6,000. So what I'm going to do for a second, I'm going to save this query. Do I want to save query 1? I'm going to select yes. So I'll just say female criminal rewards. We'll say reward total. Let's select OK. I'll just close down the table for a sec. Do you want to save that? I'll say no for the moment. And if we just open up the All Access Objects pane, make it a bit wider, and the reason why I've done that is so we can in fact see that we've got this query here, female criminal reward total. So if I double click on that, you can in fact see that we do get the value 6,000. Let's just move that on slightly. If I close down this query report, let's go inside criminals, and let us, for example, change where it says Alex female. Let's change that reward value, let's say to 10,000. And if we look here, we'll leave this one here for Janet at 2,400. So if we now ran that female criminal reward total again, we should in fact get 12,400. To prove this, I'll just close down the current table and let us double click onto the actual female criminal reward total query, and you can in fact see the basically the reward totals for where the gender field equals female have in fact been duly added.